how is it when we travel so far, making efforts, doing the things, standing back up, trying to better ourselves, making sure that we're doing the best thing we can do for ourselves, and yet somehow we end up in a place where we've got to the start line where other people have started from, and they've climbed mountains, they've gone on to bigger and better things, and so we totally invalidate our efforts to that point, believing that we haven't got anywhere. And yet if we look behind ourselves as to how far we've come a hell of a long way, and yet we're totally, utterly tearing ourselves down consistently from the fact that we're not where someone else is. How can we look at our own progress if we're comparing ourselves to someone else? How can we be happy with where we're at when we compare ourselves to someone who's at perhaps even the elite of their efforts? Perhaps they're in the top 1% of the population on the earth. Why is it that we need to be in that comparison? We need to get validation from something that's not us. We put all that time, that effort and resources into changing, to making the effort, to changing a habit, to getting a system in place that makes ourselves better, and we constantly understand we can look behind and see how far we've come and somehow be unhappy with that. Somehow we are constantly under threat that that isn't good enough, and often that comes from a past experience, a past trauma, a past level of anxiety of someone else outside us wasn't giving us validation for how far we've come. What if we learn the skills to actually look inside ourselves and allow ourselves to be generous, allow ourselves to acknowledge how far we've come to get where we are? What if we look within ourselves to understand that this is my best, and that's the only person I can compare myself to? This is just a short video about reminding ourselves that external validation is important at different times, but the most important person you need to give validation to is yourself. The most important person that you need to understand to release from that past trauma, to release from that past expectations of you weren't good enough, nothing you could do was possibly good enough, is yourself. So in allowing to sit with yourself, to see how far you've come, to see what's possible in front, to see where you're standing now, those are all important things. It's a gift that you give to yourself, and it's the most important gift that you can give. The acknowledgement of where you are, from where you've come, from your starting position. It's just a little thought process, a little acknowledgement. Sometimes we need to journal that down. Sometimes we need to have data that we can understand and we can fall back on when things are tough. But it's most importantly a mind switch of understanding that it's only our own race that we're running. We're going to have our own setbacks. We're going to have our own pitfalls. We're going to have sometimes where we've actually moved a long way forward and yet we are caught in the mental past and the wars that we fought within ourselves, either externally or internally. Sometimes the most important person that needs to release and let go and forgive that past is yourself. So think of that in this moment, this little short video about where you have come from, where your starting point was, where you're standing now. How solid is that foundation? How can you make it even more solid before you move forward? And the reason you are moving forward, and remind yourself of those things. I hope this little short video helps. Remember to like and subscribe. Got a new link which is buy me a coffee if you feel that you want to donate to this page for the content. As always, be kind, and the most important person to be kind with is yourself. I'll see you on the next one.